I'm really hungry. I don't know what I want to eat. Let's take a look. Sour Patch Kids? Nah, not very good. How about some ice cream? That sounds good. Ooh, that's cold. No. Let's take a look downstairs. Oh, cheese. You know how I like my cheese? No. Tell me what they don't want us to eat. Julius Caesar pizza.
William Shakespeare was believed to be born on April 23, 1564. He was born from the parents of Mary Arden, a local landed heiress, and his father, John Shakespeare, who was a soft white leather merchant and a big man around the town who had a lot of money. Although there are no records proving William was born, there are records that prove he was baptized on April 26, 1564, at Holy Trinity Church in Stratford-upon-Avon. William was Mary and John's third child. He had two older sisters, Joan and Judith, along with three younger brothers, Gilbert, Richard, and Edmund. Even though records don't reveal much information, people believe William probably attended the King's New School in Stratford-upon-Avon, which taught reading, writing, and classics. Due to his father's public status, William was definitely qualified for free tuition. People became skeptical of William Shakespeare's authorship of his work because there aren't records of his education. Also, some people are skeptical about William Shakespeare's existence. At age 18, Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway. The couple had 3 kids, a daughter in 1583 named Susanna Hall, and twin sons Hamnet Shakespeare and Judith Quinney in 1585. Unfortunately, Hamlet died at age 11. His daughter Susanna married a wealthy Stratford doctor named John Hall. In 1608, Shakespeare became a grandfather for the first time when Susanna and John welcomed their daughter Elizabeth into the world. In 1616, just months before Shakespeare's death, Judith married Thomas Quinney, a Stratford winemaker and merchant.
William Shakespeare wrote many plays. By the early 1590s, documents showed that he was a managing partner in the Lord Chamberlain's Men, one of the most popular acting companies in London, England. The company changed its name to King's Men in 1603 after King James I was crowned. By 1592, William Shakespeare was earning a living as an actor and playwright in London. In 1595, Shakespeare began one of his most successful periods of his lifetime. During that span of time, he wrote Richard II, Romeo and Juliet, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and The Merchant of Venice. With all of his earnings, he purchased the second largest home in Stratford, even though he lived in London. During King James I's reign, Shakespeare wrote many of his most accomplished plays about courtly power, including King Lear, Macbeth, and Antony and Cleopatra. In 1599, Shakespeare wrote Julius Caesar. Antony and Cleopatra, along with Julius Caesar, were both based on true events from Roman history. Our selected play, Julius Caesar, is a tragic and historical drama. It is considered a tragic play because it is about a tragedy of Julius Caesar, and is a historical play because it is based on true Roman history. Julius Caesar is a story that illustrates the 44 BC plot to take over the power from the Roman dictator Julius Caesar. Although the play is named Julius Caesar, he is not the main character throughout the play. He only appears in a handful of scenes and doesn't say nearly as many lines as Brutus. Julius Caesar was the first play performed in the Globe Theatre. The Globe Theatre is a three-story theater in which some people automatically associate with William Shakespeare when they hear that term. It was built in 1599 in the well-known city of London, England. The Globe Theatre was the main facility used by the Lord Chamberlain's men to show their plays. While walking around town, flags could be seen hanging from the theater to distinguish what type of play was being performed. A white flag was comedy, a red flag was history, and a black flag was tragedy. Prior to the Globe Theatre burning down, it was closed due to an outbreak of the bubonic plague in the 17th century. The owners did not want the disease to spread even faster than it was with the mass amounts of people in the theater watching plays. Many plays were performed at the original Globe Theatre before it burned down in 1613. It burned down when a prop cannon was lit during the play of Henry VIII. No one was harmed in the burning, but it took 2 hours for the whole theater to be in ashes. The second Globe was built on the same area as the first in 1642. The first character in Act 4, Scene 1 is Antony. Antony is a loyal friend of Caesar who tries to please everybody. Early in the play, he confirms Julius' spouse, Calphurnia, that she is indeed fertile. Antony proves himself as a big threat to Brutus and the other conspirators by gaining power throughout the entire play. The second main character in Act 4, Scene 1 is Octavius. Octavius is Caesar's adopted son. Like his father, Octavius doesn't have a huge role in the play until Julius is murdered. When he returns from Rome, he teams up with Antony against the conspirators who killed his father. The third character in Act 4, Scene 1 is Lepidus. Lepidus is the third member of the power of the triumvirate of the Roman Empire. Lepidus joins this group with Antony and Octavius to rule after the assassination of Julius Caesar. Lepidus is a loyal man, but weak in the eyes of Antony.
The play starts, and Julius Caesar has just returned to Rome after defeating Pompey's sons. Pompey and Caesar used to share power and control of Rome. They got into a fight, and Julius Caesar won. Caesar comes back to Rome and parades his victory around town. He was inching closer and closer to absolute power in the Roman Republic, and that is something that would not stand there. Caesar and his protectors attend the festival of the Lupercal. While they are relaxing at the festival, a guy comes to them and says, "Beware the Ides of March." Caesar thinks nothing of it and sends the man away. Cassius, along with other conspirators, have low-key been trying to plot an event to overthrow Caesar. Cassius suggests that Brutus should rule Rome, which was just one way to get Brutus on his side and try to get rid of Caesar at any cost. Brutus, on the other hand, has been a good friend of Julius for a long time and told Cassius he would think this all through. Caesar is a public favorite because he pretends as if he does not actually want the crown to be ruler, and that drives Cassius nuts. A little later, Cassius continues to plot against Caesar and tries to persuade Brutus even more to join his side. He then has a meeting to plan how they would get rid of Caesar. Brutus agrees upon Cassius' plan due to the fact that he thinks it would benefit the Roman people. Caesar is tricked into thinking he is needed at the Capitol by Decius that day to ensure that he would be crowned. Calphurnia, Caesar's wife, had a gut feeling that something is going to go wrong if he goes to the Capitol. She has been having nightmares about this. Caesar again is given a warning while on the way to the Capitol. An old man tries to give him a letter warning him about a plot to kill him. He again thinks nothing of it and keeps walking. As Caesar arrives at the Capitol, he begins a speech, and as he is talking, he is surrounded by the conspirators, including Cassius and Brutus. They then proceed to stab him 23 times to his death. As he is dying, he says his last words, "Et tu, Brute," which basically is defined as, "Even you, Brutus." The conspirators walk around Rome telling them they have ended the problem and they expect for the people to be happy and rejoice with them. Instead, they all freak out and act as if it is indeed doomsday.
We will now be acting Act 4, Scene 1. This scene takes place after the death of Julius Caesar. Antony, Lepidus, and Octavius meet to discuss their plans against the conspirators.
These many then shall die. Their names are pricked.
Prick him down, Antony. Your brother too must die. Consent you, Lepidus?
I do consent.
He shall not live. Look, with a spot I damned him. You, Lepidus, go you to Caesar's house.
Yeah.
Fetch the will hither, and we shall determine how to cut off some charge and legacies.
What shall I find you here?
Or here, or at the Capitol.
This is a slight, unmeritable man, meet to be sent on errands. Is it fit? The threefold world divided. He should stand, one of the three to share it.
So you thought him, and took his voice, who should be pricked to die. In our black sentence and our proscription.
Octavius, I have seen more days than you, and though we lay these honors on this man, to ease ourselves as divers slanderous loads, he shall but bear them as the ass bears gold. Groan or sweat under the business, either led or driven as we point the way. And having brought our treasure where we will, then take we down his load to turn him off, like to the empty ass, to shake his ears and graze in commons.
May do your will, but he is a tried and valiant soldier.
So is my horse, Octavius, and for that I do appoint him sore of provender. It is a creature that I teach to fight, to wind, to stop, to run directly on. His corporal motion governed by my spirit, and in some taste is Lepidus but so. He must be taught and trained and bid go forth. A barren spirited fellow that feeds on objects, arts, and imitation, which out of use and staled by other men, begin his fashion. Do not talk of him, but as property. But now, Octavius, listen great things, Brutus and Cassius, our levering powers, we must make straight head. Therefore, let our alliance be combined, our best friends made, our means stretched, and let us presently go sit in council. Covert matters may be best disclosed, and open puerile serest answered.
Let us do so, for we are at the stake, and bade about with many enemies, and some that smile have in their hearts, I fear, millions of mischief. And scene. During our performed scene selection, it was apparent that power was an overall theme. Antony, Lepidus, and Octavius meet to talk about how they are going to prevent the conspirators from taking total power over Rome. During our scene, we reenacted. Brutus and Cassius get in a huge argument after the funeral of Caesar. Brutus finds out that Cassius has been being bribed to kill Julius on the side, and Brutus is angered because they had discussed the murder of Caesar was supposed to be only for the better of the people. The two sides agree to meet and fight the enemy at Philippi, even though Brutus is a little bit timid due to the eerie thought that Caesar's ghost will be there. The battle ensues and is not going well for Brutus and Cassius' side. Cassius becomes confused and over a complete misunderstanding kills himself. The other main leader of the Brutus side, Titanius, finds Cassius dead and decides to take his life as well. Brutus comes back to find his side of the fight all but dead. He then decides he will run into his own sword and death. As he is dying, he yells to the others that he did not kill Caesar for ill reasoning. Octavius and Antony hail in victory. Antony gives a noble speech confirming that Brutus was indeed a good Roman leader.
According to Charles Spencer, a journalist for the Telegraph UK, he says, Julius Caesar isn't one of Shakespeare's more lovable plays. He also says that will never be a play he loves, but there is no doubt that this lively production makes a strong case for its merits. Overall, I thought the play Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare was good. I enjoyed the plot and learning about Roman history. Compared to other Shakespeare's plays that I've read, I would rank this towards the top. It was neat to read the play after we had learned it in Erica Nelson's third block world history class. It was neat to see all the parallels throughout the play along with the history we learned. I think it is quite awesome that Shakespeare can write such plays. I was very enthused to know that we would have the chance to read one of his masterpieces on our own and share the love for ancient work.